We start with a late game in the Bay Area. Sure, the Knicks went out there to play the Warriors. It was not competitive, but it was interesting. Do you remember when Klay Thompson was in a slump and everyone's worried about Klay Thompson? In the last 5 games, Klay Thompson is shooting over 51% from 3, and he did it from everywhere yesterday. 43 points. He only took 4 dribbles in typical Klay style. 17 of his 18 field goals were assisted. What does all of this tell you about Klay, the slump, and how the Warriors are playing right now?
The slump is over. The slump was going to be over. This would be like the greatest hitter. I mean, imagine Tony Gwynn all of a sudden just not being able to make contact during his prime. So I was never worried about it. Sometimes, though, and I'm going to run this by you, it's a working theory. Sometimes there's so many great shooters in this league now when I'm watching games, I feel like no one cares about their base, their footwork, their landing. Like, guys are taking the most absurd three-pointers now that sometimes I wonder if the slump's really about them getting loose with their form, which is crazy because he's usually the guy that always looks perfect right out of the jump. So I was never worried about it. It just was incredible it went on that long.
Well, Steph Curry is one of those where he just takes ridiculous shots off the dribble with his back to the basket, turning around and shooting and hitting. But what Steph Curry did last night was interesting. 14 assists. Draymond had 10 assists. Now, as someone who roots against the Warriors because they are that good, I just want the other team to win. This does remind me of the old pace and space Warriors from 3 years ago that were changing the league and sharing the ball and not just giving it to KD and watching it. Do you think there's something to that they're playing a little bit more passy and like they used to than they have recently this season?
I just don't know. I mean, I think last night in watching that game, because I've been watching them a little bit more the last few weeks, that I felt like they've allowed other people to be selfish. You know, I feel like Durant, I don't even mean this as a knock on him, but Durant was kind of getting into this mode of taking some shots where it was bothering me that Steph wasn't taking more shots. So even though Steph had great assist numbers, I still think for the betterment of this team, Steph has to remind everybody that's defending this team that I'm still the guy that can burn you from everywhere on the court, because it's been pretty clear that when Steph is right, that's when this offense has looked the best, as great as Durant is.
Absolutely. I mean, you can never complain about Kevin Durant taking a shot or taking somebody one-on-one, but it's sometimes just like, hey, man, for the betterment of everybody, like let's let Steph be the rising tide that floats all of the other boats. And you'll be watching a lot more Warriors coming up because they are about to add none other than a gentleman who goes by a nickname that Jalen likes to use very often. Boogie! 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 Boogie!
You look so miserable in so many of those.
I did not expect that to go on that long.